Welcome to Ma's Garage. I'm Kev.
I'm Crick.
And I'm Smokey.
And on today's episode, we're going to talk about me and my...
Wait. I thought I got to start this one.
No. No, it's my turn. We went over this.
I feel like you just went. It's my turn to do it.
No, I've written down, I've got a whole script written down for this. I've been practicing in the mirror all week.
But I mean, I feel like I do it a little bit deeper,
no, Crick. If you do it, we're going to be here 3 or 7 different takes. I should be the one that's going to do it, because then we'll get it done in 1 or 2.
At least it turns out right. At least it's what I wanted to be. So it's it takes a couple extra takes, but it is
it's me and my ego. It's me and my ego.
My ego.
Me and my ego.
And my ego.
No, me and my ego.
Me and my ego.
If you're egotistical and driven by yourself, I don't feel like you are driven by yourself, because if you're egotistical, you have to show that off to somebody. I guess there are some people who are just so in love with themselves, they're just get off on themselves. But I feel like most people who are egotistical need to share how great they think that they are with the rest of the world.
Some people call that millennials.
Right.
And some people call that just the sales industry in general. Think about the aggressive stock brokerages in New York and stuff. I remember watching an episode of I cannot remember the name, but Worth It. That's what it's called. So they go try a burger at a low dollar cost. They try a burger at a medium dollar cost, and then they try a burger at a high dollar cost. And then they compare and see which one was more worth it for the dollar that they spent. So they had an episode of this, it was called a pizza, but it had goat's milk cheese. It had gold leaf. It had caviar. It had
He's getting in deep with the pizza mafia.
All right.
But it had
pretty intense pizzas.
It had a bunch of different stuff. But essentially what they said was the reason that we started coming up with these different high costing ideas is because you had these stockbrokers that would come in, these people in the sales industry that would constantly be trying to one up the other person. So I'm going to order something that's going to be one up what you order. So eventually we just started getting creative, and we started increasing more things and started offering them to more people, and people really liked it.
So take advantage of their ego.
I'll never fall victim to peer pressure again.
No, Jake.
Actually, I'll do anything you guys want if you say my name 3 times.
Ego and competition can make innovation.
Right. Ego on its own can create innovation. That's where I feel like ego can be good a little bit, because I was watching a documentary on Matisse, the one who I did the pool rendition of. And that's what he said is there was a time nobody liked his stuff. He was doing his own kind of way. And he tried, originally he just needed to make money for his family. So he painted these paintings in a more traditional way and was going to go sell them because he had a buyer, but decided that's not me. That's not who I am. I'm not going to just change my work to make money and regurgitate it if that's not what I believe in. So he had his family scrub down the canvases and redid them, and kept just leaning into this way that he wanted to paint, and being him, being kind of in his own, which ended up paying off. But for a long time, he was just criticized and chastised for being that individual and thinking what I'm doing is right. Even though everybody else tells him wrong, what I'm doing is right.
Isn't there something about that? Even with, it's more of a material thing, but you get a watch from your great grandfather who died, and your dad tells you, bring it to a pawn shop, bring it to a jeweler, and then bring it to a museum and see who gives you the biggest offer for it.
Right.
It was the museum. It's when you find what you enjoy, the value you can create because of the amount of energy you want it to put into it versus that you have to put into it.
Right. Or find the crowd that values you more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like find your crowd, find the ones who appreciate your work. Like, because not everybody always will. It's like, and so that's where you just got to keep doing you. And then if you feel like it's what you should be doing, then do it. And like, that's where the part where I feel like the ego is beneficial. You just have to understand that you're not right. You're doing what you think you need to do because that's the expression that you want to leave on the world. But no one's right. No one has the all say all. You have no room to judge and tell other people what to do because other people are going to do the same to you. You just have to stay in your lane and do you and be an accepting of others. So it's not, don't let the ego drive you, but use it. Use it as another tool in your tool belt.
See, you've got the people that stay in their lane, and then you've got the people that are in that speed lane. And those are the people that are driving the Ferraris. And that's what they do because those are fast cars.
Yeah, but that's how you get in an accident too. You start trying to drive those fast cars, you don't know how to handle it. You know what I mean? That's what it
could be. I mean, there's I'm sure accidents do happen, but that is an assumed response. I mean, you can get in an accident with any vehicle.
Thing they enjoy.
Whenever somebody speaks about my parents, I say they're on a hurry to an accident. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I'm still going to get there in my commuter car. I'm going to do all the right. It's just like the house of cards we talked about. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm going to still get there in my commuter. I'm going to be fine. I'm going to listen to my music along the way. I'm going to get there, but it's like, you just depends on
how you want to get there.
Right. You know, and that's where it's a hard battle right now that I'm in with my ego is like, to live in my ego a little bit more because I'm trying to do things that are a little bit more self-driven. I'm not working in anybody's blanket or working any other's dream. I'm trying to do stuff and just establish my own kind of image, whatever that is. And I have to believe in it. I have to like, no one else is going to be like, oh yeah, you should come and do this. Let's go. Like, I have to believe in myself first before anybody else will. Like, and that's a hard battle.
That's the point that you're at now. Like, you're not an adolescent anymore. Like, you're an adult and now you have to figure out your own things and get your stuff together.
It's what I've learned. It's a battle as you do that though, because you can't let the ego take over. You have to like, it's kind of like when Naruto, like when you're tapping into the power of the beast, you know what I mean? Like when you're of the nine-tailed fox, it's like, you have to like learn to use that power, but not let that power consume you. Not let the ego take over and take hold, like tap into its power, but don't give into it.
No, work with it. Work with it as a partnership.
Right.
Yeah. Understand it's a part of you. You can't just don't pretend it's not there because that's not healthy. Don't let it run your life because that's not healthy. Balance with it.
Learn it. Understand it. Understand
it's a part of you.
Yeah.
If there's anything more important, you should know like your parts, right?
Mm-hmm.
What makes you you.
And that's where I feel like that if you understand your ego more, you understand what incentivizes you, what drives you, what motivates you, what inspires you. Like if you understand your ego and your driving forces, then you can better learn to like hone yourself or control yourself a little bit better. Yeah. And
it's a poor word, but it's the truth.
I avoided saying it, but you're right.
Other people are doing it to you too. You notice
you
it
understand
more.
where you're manipulable. Exactly.
Yeah. I feel like you can just look at ego as an internal confidence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess it is like a confidence in yourself and who you are. It is like a belief in yourself. It's this inner like appreciation.
Can it be all the other ones too, though? What is the ego? Is it technically just like your image of yourself?
I guess so.
Hey, who's that handsome guy? Hello, 911 emergency. There's a handsome guy in my house. Oh, wait a second. Cancel that. It's only me.
Yeah, I would have to say that probably be the closest to a definition. And of course, you're going to paint yourself in a bigger picture because you have a little bit of a bias towards yourself.
Depending on your mood, right?
Some people are more negative.
I guess it depends. I mean, it depends on the feelings that the emotions. Like if you're not in the greatest place, then you may paint yourself a little bit lower.
That's where I feel like I'd underpaint myself quite a bit, where it's like I'm trying to inflate my ego a little bit more to where I am more. Because I feel like if you don't have the ego behind it, it's harder to just jump out and do things. It's harder to be like, well, I'm going to make this because this is what I do, you know?
Because once you take that first step, are you going to try to just take that jump back, or are you going to keep jumping forward?
That's what I feel like I used to do. It was like dipping my toe in the water. Oh, it's cold. But now it's like, I'm done dipping my toe. If I'm going to go do something, we're cannonballing. You know what I mean? Like that's the only way to get into the water. Like if you tip your toe into it, you're never jumping in. So just jump in, like
cannonball.
Yeah.
And create a mess, create a splash, get other people wet, possibly hurt someone that you hit.
Possibly, but at the same time, like you said, create a splash, make more ripples, show other people that you're just diving in.
Create a splash and make ripples.
You can inspire people to cannonball. Like if you could start a cannonball chain where everybody else is like, oh yeah, that's so cool. Let's make, like, you can inspire people to step out of the norm and do something different, because like maybe nobody was jumping in the water, but then they saw this crazy dude jump in the water and they're like, oh, maybe it's not that bad.
The rocks, I mean, the more ripples there are, the closer to the point of impact, right? So you just got to, like you said, hit the ground running. Take advantage of it before the ripples get scattered out.
And make sure what you're jumping into is deep enough for a cannonball.
Yeah. Sometimes you don't know. Like that. Yeah, I guess that's where you got to flesh out a little bit.
It could be a little bit of a mirage, but then you jump into that kiddie pool and oh man, that really hurt my back.
Well, and I think that's your pre-learning. That's where you can learn a little bit, but you don't know too much. Like you can go explore where you're going to jump in. You can go explore that pond and like look for rocks, look for the best place to jump in, but you don't know what's under the water until you jump in. So you can only do so much pre-planning before you got to get wet. Like you've got to jump in. Like
there's only one way to actually figure out the depth, and that's to find out yourself.
Or some other people will send other people in ahead.
That too.
Send their scapegoats.
Go check that out.
Yeah,
I'm gonna watch you. You're protected.